Okay, so if you've ever directed an AI to build an application, you probably know this feeling. It starts out so clean, so promising, and then, somehow, it ends up as a tangled mess. Today we're going to look at Pinia, a tool for Vue.js, but not from the perspective of a coder. We're going to look at it like an architect. The goal here is to give you the mental model, the big picture, so you can direct your AI to build cleaner, stronger software right from the very start.
We've all been there, right? You're directing your AI, the features are just flying out, everything's humming along. But then, you ask for what seems like a simple change. Hey, can you change this button color? And suddenly, bam! The user's shopping cart breaks. How on earth did that happen? That fragility, that unpredictable tangle of connections, that is the exact problem we're going to solve today.
So what's the real culprit here? Well, it's not the features themselves, it's the data. When your data is scattered all over the place, it creates tangled logic. I want you to think of your app's data like the messiest garage you've ever seen. The user's profile is a wrench hiding over here, the shopping cart is a screwdriver buried under a pile of rags, and the product info is in some unmarked box over there. Every single time a feature needs a tool, it has to create its own messy path to go find it, and pretty soon your entire application is just this spiderweb of tangled, confusing paths.
And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the shared data problem. This is all about any piece of information that doesn't just belong to one little part of the screen. You know, stuff like the user's login status or the number of the items in their shopping cart. This is data that needs to be available everywhere, all at the same time.
So without a proper system, you get this chaos you see on the left. It's like every component is just shouting at every other component. It creates this web of dependencies that is an absolute nightmare to try and figure out. But the alternative is the order you see on the right. Every single component talks to one central source of truth. There's one place to get data and one place to change it. And that simple, powerful idea is what's behind Pinia.
That central hub, that's Pinia. But here's the thing, don't think of it as just another library or another piece of code. It's better to think of it as a new philosophy for organization. It's like we're giving our application a central brain.
So technically, Pinia is the official state management library for Vue. Now, that sounds super technical, right? But all it really means is that it's a central storehouse for your app's data. And this creates what we call a single source of truth. And that right there, that's the most important concept to grab onto. There is one and only one official place for all of your shared information. No more duplicate data, no more confusion about which piece of information is the right one.
Now you might be thinking, installing a central brain? That sounds heavy, complicated. But that's the real magic of Pinia. It is incredibly lightweight. We're talking about just 1.5 kilobytes. It's so small and so intuitive that it honestly doesn't even feel like an add-on. It just feels like the way your application should have been organized from the very beginning.
I love this way of thinking about it. Pinia is the global memory of your application. So instead of every little button and menu having its own separate sticky note of information, they all access a single, reliable, long-term memory. And the best part? When that memory changes, everything that depends on it updates instantly. Poof, just like that, automatically.
Okay, so how does the central brain actually operate? What does it do? Well, the key, the secret sauce, is that it creates a predictable, one-way flow of information. It takes all that chaos we talked about and replaces it with a clear, simple, repeatable process.
This predictable flow works just like a clean assembly line. It always goes in the same order. First, a user does something. Let's say they click a button. Now that click doesn't just go and change something on the screen willy-nilly. No, instead it sends a message to the central brain, triggering something called an action. You can think of an action as a documented, official procedure, and only that action has permission to change the central state, the official memory. And the moment that state changes, the user interface automatically updates everywhere to reflect the new truth.
So why does this matter to you as a director? Well, it's simple. It makes your application predictable. When a bug pops up, you or your AI don't have to go hunting through that tangled mess of code. You just follow the one-way street. You ask, did the user click happen? Did the right action run? How did the state change? The problem is always going to be somewhere along that clear, linear path.
All right, let's zoom out for a second. We've got a handle on what Pinia is and how it works conceptually. But where does it actually fit inside the larger architecture of a modern web application? Where does it live in the grand scheme of things?
Think of a really well-built application as having these clear, solid architectural pillars. First, you have Vue.js. That's your canvas. It's the UI layer. It's where everything gets drawn. Then you have Pinia. That's the painter's palette. It holds all of the shared colors, the user data, the product info, all ready to be used anywhere on the canvas. It sits right alongside the other pillars, like your app's navigation and its connection to the backend, as a foundational piece of the whole structure.
Okay, this is where it all comes together. This is where the rubber meets the road for you as a director. How do you take all this conceptual knowledge and actually use it to give better, smarter instructions to your AI coding assistant?
All this knowledge gives you what I like to call architectural X-ray vision. You don't even need to read the code to see if the structure is sound. You can just look at the file system. Is there a folder called /stores? Are the files inside named logically, things like user.js or cart.js? These are the footprints. These are the signs of a well-organized central brain. And this understanding fundamentally changes how you give instructions. A perfectly good instruction is add a shopping cart feature. But a better architecturally aware instruction is create a cart store in Pinia to manage the items and totals, and then create an add item action. See the difference? You're not just describing a feature anymore, you're directing the architecture. You're telling the AI how to think about organizing the data.
To really master this whole concept, let's distill everything we've learned down into 3 powerful guiding principles. Think of these as your rules of the road for thinking with Pinia.
And principle number 1. Well, this might just be the most important one of all. Your central brain does not need to know everything. The key is knowing what to centralize and, just as importantly, what to leave out.
You only centralize what is truly shared. Data like the user's name or the contents of the shopping cart, yeah, that needs to be everywhere. But data like, is this specific drop-down menu currently open? That information only matters to that one menu. Keep that local. Don't clutter up the central brain with information it doesn't need. Second, give your brain different departments. Don't create one giant monolithic store that tries to handle the whole shebang. Instead, you modularize by concern. You'll have a user store that handles authentication, a product store for your catalog data, and a cart store for purchases. Each one is a specialist, and that makes the whole system so much cleaner.
And third, let the brain do the thinking. All of the complex business logic, calculating a total, applying a discount, checking inventory, all of that belongs in the store's actions. This lets your UI components stay dumb. Their only job is to show things on the screen and report what the user did. The store handles all the rest. This separation is absolutely critical for a clean architecture.
So all of these ideas, from the central brain to the one-way data flow to these 3 principles, they're all building towards one single powerful insight, the aha moment that makes it all finally click.
And here it is. The ultimate purpose of Pinia isn't to write more complex code. It's to remove complexity by establishing a single, shared source of truth. Its real power isn't in some fancy list of features, it's in the architectural clarity that it provides. By giving your application a reliable memory, you untangle the chaos. You make your system predictable, maintainable, and ready to scale.
So now you no longer just see a user interface. You can see the invisible architecture that's holding it all together. You now have that X-ray vision to spot good design and to direct your AI with clarity and with confidence. You can build systems that aren't just functional, but are elegant and robust from their very core. So the only question left is, what will you design next?